Welcome back, and today I have a little video about the Pimpernel and why I use the parts I use. Trans in the comments asked me about my parts, and this is my Pimpernel. And I should have gone over these parts in my Twisted Pimp build video, but I completely forgot to. So I have a Jacob's grip and Hyperion stock on my Pimpernel. And that is not at all common. Some people use the Jacob's grip. My buddy Coontail is another proponent of that, but a lot of people stick to your matching grip. And most people use a doll stock. I'm going to cover why I have made these choices. And maybe I'll just start with the stocks, because, well, it's a little easier and less complex to talk about. Maybe I'm going to head up here. I want a good vantage point to kind of show what I'm talking about here. But I used to use a doll stock, and I switched to a Hyperion stock because there was a lot of moments where I was missing shots, and I wasn't missing my target, but I was missing the sweet spot. So here in my hands, I have a Hyperion stock, and you can see off in the distance, let's say that's where I want to hit, that little T there. And you can see there's a little bit of sway, and all stocks have this. You can see it float around a little bit. And this is the Hyperion stock. Oh, actually, that's the Molly-Wong grip, though. So you can see it float a little bit. Actually, I'm just going to kind of put it on there and leave it alone. So this is me just not touching my controller. And you can just see it kind of floating there. Now I'm going to go to a doll stock, same grip. I'm going to get it kind of set in there. I'll leave it. And you can see the sway is quite a bit more. Now, all these sways when you're aiming down sights or ADS are more when bullets are coming at you. Now, I'm going to go to a evil thing called the Jacob stock next. Just zero in here. You see the Jacobs is also moving a lot less than the doll. And I'll go back to the Hyperion one more time. So you still get it moving. The doll, you see more movement. This might seem not much right now, and you might say that's a tiny difference. And that's at a big distance as well. But I run the dust quite a bit as my warm-up run. I've talked about that before. And when you get towards the end of the Bug Gulch, kind of back by those churches, you finish that wave of spider ants, and you can either take a left to go up to Moab and get, or you can go to the little mobbing area where the Black Queen is. Up on one of the buildings, a guy instantly spawns in and starts shooting at you. And with my doll stock, I kept missing that sweet spot. So I kind of asked myself, is this the best stock for the Pimpernel? Because I'm not missing the entire shot, I'm not missing his body, but I wasn't hitting where I was aiming at because of the sway. So I decided to start trying out other stocks. And sure enough, the Hyperion did a really good job of not bouncing as much. So the Jacobs is, I didn't ever really consider using that or test that. Now you can see the Jacobs, it doesn't sway much, but the problem is once you do that first shot, it sways quite a bit. And if you're getting shot at, it sways even more. So you're going all the way up to the roof there, on just the single shot. I'm going to go back in there. See, you're going up over the roof. The Hyperion here, I'm going under the roof there. The doll. So the doll, you can see, it has the least amount of recoil on a single shot. But it has the worst sway just sitting idly. The Hyperion has the second best sway to a Jacobs. And the recoil is not as bad as a Jacobs. Now the Jacobs, I'm going to fire about 3. Actually, no, I'll just hold on to the trigger. So you see how far off you are there. I'll go to the Hyperion. Whoops, should have waited for a full mag. You see it's kind of bouncing back, staying a little tighter there. It's not out of control at all. The doll. So the Hyperion isn't much worse than what the doll did, but it's better on the first shot. Now the Pimpernel, and I'm going to get to more of this in a second, is a one-shot, one-kill gun. Now, I'm not saying these parts are better for everyone in every setup, but for me, the Hyperion stock is better than the doll. I miss less shots. At a close distance, it's not a bad deal. Also, if I'm talking kind of weird, I burnt my tongue incredibly bad the other day, so I feel like I'm talking weird. So, yeah, the Hyperion stock for me is a superior option, because I don't want to say I don't care about the second shot, but the Pimpernel for me is all about the first shot. It's a one-kill, one-shot sniper. If there's a single one-shot, one-kill sniper in this game, it is the Pimpernel. So to me, that first shot is so priceless. And the second shot on the Hyperion isn't bad, and you can control it to keep it on target. So it's really close to the doll in the second shot, but it's much better on the first shot. I shouldn't say much, but it's better enough on the first shot to warrant it being worth me choosing it over that. Because honestly, I'm very rarely holding down the trigger with a Pimpernel. It's all about, you know, aim, aim, aim. That guy doesn't actually register hits. So now I'm going to buy some ammo.
Welcome, customer.
So, onto the grips. I choose a Jacobs grip over the Molly wand. In fact, I'm actually going to get rid of these, and I should talk about prefix too. So, I use a damage prefix and Jacobs grip. Now if I compare this to a damage prefix Molly wand grip, you can see I'm losing out on every single category except for damage. And yes, if you do the calculation, this does less DPS. That is 100% true. You have barely less fire rate. I don't think that fire rate's really significant. The reload speed, you would think, is very significant at 1.1 less. That's a difference. Magazine size, 6 to 10. That's a difference as well. Here's why I still use it. DPS on a sniper, outside of Zero, who's the only one that really uses DPS snipers to raid, is a stupid fucking conversation done by stupid people. Since when are you emptying a magazine on a single enemy with a Pimpernel? Pretty rare. Most of your targets are dying in a shot or two. In fact, I've been posting my playthrough, and Captain Flint took less than a magazine. Boom Boom took less than a magazine. Who cares? Are there occasionally some badass enemies that'll take an entire magazine? Sure. But rarely. A lot of the enemies just shoot, kill. In fact, there's a lot of times, because of chain reaction, one shot is killing 2 to 3 enemies. not only one. So where does DPS fit into that? It doesn't. In fact, DPS in general, the typical way of doing the calculation, only matters on raid bosses because that's the only time you have an enemy big enough to just hold down the trigger until you're out of ammo. Maybe on some of the bigger bosses in the game, Saturn, the Warrior, some of those it kind of matters. But, I mean, I'm just going to put on my Trickster and shoot Saturn with one shot and kill him. So once again, that doesn't matter. So once you start taking the build into consideration, the DPS doesn't matter because this, once again, like I said with the stock, is a one-shot, one-kill gun. It's not a 10-shot to kill things. This isn't a Vladoff pistol where you're using 50 bullets to kill an enemy. You're using 1 to 3 bullets to kill most enemies, and that's including, big badass enemies typically. You saw me in that video too, and this is without a B. Ultimate badass psychos were just about dead in one shot, and that's without a B. So to me, it's the damage supersedes these other options. Now, you're looking at that. You can do the math. It's 46,546 difference on the damage. But the Pimpernel, when you sweet spot it, that 46,000 damage turns into 1,117,000 damage. That's significant. Now, if you also match elements, that damage is now 1,994,000. Now, if you slag the enemy, that's 5,864,000 difference between these two guns. 5.8 million. And this is without including a shield, a comm, a relic, or any skill points. So realistically, you're probably talking about 20 million difference in a shot by a pretty light estimate. Once I start doing these things, that's a lot of difference in the damage. And that is the difference between one shot, two shots, or even sometimes one shot and 3 shots. The Pimpernel is a sniper rifle. Believe it or not, it is. I know that some people use the argument, you're not shooting him in the head, it's not a sniper. That's one of the dumbest arguments I've ever heard. Because this guy's walking, here's his head. If I shoot him in the head, I'm missing it. What I have to do to hit him is lead him. And if you lead him, you shoot him in the head. So you're not shooting his head, you're shooting a blank spot in front of him. With the Pimpernel, so let's just say this is the walking guy, I'm leading him to the left, and I'm leading him down on an X and a Y axis, rather than just one axis. So it actually takes more skill because you're leading in 2 directions, not one. Now it is somewhat forgiving because if you don't hit that sweet spot, it still has a ton of damage because of everything. So it is a little bit more forgiving. But doing this to use the Pimpernel, this isn't the proper way to use a Pimpernel. It's not a shotgun, it's not an assault rifle, it is a sniper. You aim and you shoot. And that's the proper way to use the Pimpernel. It might as well be a Jacobs, because you're very rarely holding down the trigger, at least the way I play it. Now sure, some of the big bosses and stuff, I'll hold down the trigger and manage the recoil and keep it where I need it to sweet spot. But for most of the game, 90% of it, I'm not holding down the trigger. I'm choosing my shot every time, and I'm hitting that shot. So once again, I'm on his head. Maybe he's walking slow enough that it still hits, but it looks like it's missing. So you lead, and then he stops walking. But you lead, and then you shoot. That's, basic sniping. The Pimp is a sniper. And when you're talking about almost 6 million damage difference without your skill tree, that's massive, massive damage. Now, I am going to spec into my skills here and show you another reason why it becomes less relevant. So on my build, I have 5 points in foresight. I'll just quick do my whole build. A lot of times I hit buttons too fast there and miss that. Alright, so here's my build. So 40% reload speed and 50% reload speed. That's on kill. But when you compare these two, so the reload speed right now has a difference of 1.1, which I admitted is significant. Now, if you take that 90% buff I have to reload speed, this brings the Jacob's grip down to 2.2 and the Molly wand down to 1.6. Now the difference between them is just 0.6. That's not a big deal anymore. Now unfortunately, foresight works the opposite. The magazine size, because it's bigger, you get a bigger boost. And there are times where I prefer that. So you see this, you only get 2 extra bullets from 6 to 8. Now this has a magazine of 10, and at magazine up to 40%, you can do that math in your head, it goes up to 14. Also, you know how people say when you respec, you don't get the comm bonuses unless you switch your comm? That's not correct. 14. Let me take off my comm to this, which doesn't have foresight. Now I have 12. Now I have 14. You don't have to take off your comm. Stop saying that. It's not true. It's like perma-slagging when you're in a car. It is absolutely false. So, debunked. Let's move on from that crap. So, you saw the reload there. It's fast. That's not a terrible difference. And that's without inertia. So I'm not worried about that. It does suck that I get 14 to 8, but in combat, you have breaks between enemies. So I'm not really that worried about reloading. In fact, there's a lot of times I reload before I empty my magazine anyways. So when I originally tested these grips, I ran many maps, many bosses, a ton of stuff, and this one still worked. It worked really well. It's a very good gun. But it just didn't work as well as this. I ended up spending a lot more ammo to kill the same amount of stuff. And when I play a lot of co-op, and 4-player difficulty scaling is pretty drastic in this game. And that's when it really shined. Because at single player, I'm like, maybe it's better. I wasn't running out of ammo, but I was using a lot more ammo to kill the same targets. When I bumped it up to 4-player health scaling, it really showed that difference of that damage. So that's why I stick to my Jacob's grip. It kills things faster, even though it has less DPS. The other option is here, but now you're talking the difference of a lot more damage. That's over 100,000 difference in damage. So if you want to hold down the trigger and use the Pimpernel like a shotgun or an assault rifle or an SMG, sure, go with a Banbury Molly wand. And sometimes that's actually better. Zero loves fast snipers because critical ascension, because rising shot. So there is a legit reason to do this Pimpernel with Zero. There's an absolute reason to use that. But I stick with this with Maya, even on a chain reaction build, because that difference in damage is so much. I have a better chance of landing those big chain reactions. I don't have to empty my magazine to do that. And you've probably seen me do some chain reaction kills, it works just fine with this. If you're only using the Trickster setup and not a Legendary Siren setup or something else, I can see that argument, but I only throw on the Trickster to have fun every now and then, and for a few bosses. I mainly play with the Legendary Siren, and the Barking Jacob's Grip is hands down a better sniper with this. Now I also want to reiterate, I am by no means whatsoever saying this is the only Pimpernel to use, this is the only option, it's the best for everyone always. I am not saying that. I am saying for my build, for my comm, this is the best sniper for my setup. Doesn't mean this is the best sniper or the best Pimpernel version for any Zero builds or even different Maya builds. This is the best version of the Pimpernel for my build and for my setup. I do think more people should use this, and a lot of people are just sticking to doll stock Maliwan grip because they were told matching grips are better. And while matching grips are better 85 to 95% of the time, they're not always better. And just like I'm saying, this is not always the best way to do it. But this is the justification behind my Pimpernel choices. And I think if you go watch my build video, the Let's Play new playthrough of OP8 I'm doing, you'll see that my Pimpernel is insanely productive with Maya. These Pimpernels would not be as productive with my build as this is. There are times where I enjoyed having the deeper magazine, I will not lie. But I'll take the one-shot capability of this over shooting things 2 or 3 times with this, because that is why the Pimpernel is so freaking awesome, is because it's so goddamn powerful. So that is the reasons why this is my Pimpernel. I hope you guys learned some stuff. I hope you take another look at it and don't just say, hey, matching grip is the best, because it isn't. And I'm probably going to do this with a couple other guns, because the Pimpernel isn't the only case for this. But you can use the same logic for a lot of sniper rifles, at least, again, with a Maya setup similar to what I'm doing here. You know, Zero, once again, critical ascension, rising shot. There's a reason he loves Vladov sniper rifles, and even he loves his Maliwans too, but his Maliwans, he wants that fire rate, he wants that deeper magazine, he wants that quicker reload. Even though Zero's got sniper magazine and reload skills, to really get through and snipe like that, Zero needs to hit hard. Zero doesn't have phase lock. So once again, this is for my Maya setup, not for everything, but try this out and let me know what you think. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming over to the channel. If you have not yet subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you do that. And I will see you guys later. Bye.